I don't keep they're on Main Street, so definitely take time to visit them. I've used one personally. They do a great job on their closings. And so thank you for bringing breakfast.
You're very welcome. Thank you for having us.
Yes, and there's mimosas and all that stuff. If everybody wants to kind of get a seat and get comfy, and we'll get ready to get started. Thanks everybody for coming. Okay, welcome guys. And our special guest, this is Louie. If anybody needs to know who the special invite is today, all of you are great. Louie's the special invite.
Yes. Yeah, Louis brought me as his guest.
Louie brought Tracy. So first of all, I want to thank you all for coming. This went really well last month when we did the agent panel for Neighborhood Expert. We think that next month we would like to do either open house or client appreciation events. So if you guys have feedback for us on that and agents you'd like to hear from, please let us know. We're going to do it towards the end of the month every month, and it'll be back in Fort Worth next month. We're going to rotate. So welcome to all of our panelists. Do we need to hit record or are we good?
We're good recording.
We are recording, so don't do anything crazy, but make sure that you know that this is a casual, comfy thing. You can ask questions. We are going to have time at the end for additional questions that anybody wants to ask. And we do have some people on Zoom through the other cafes. And so the other cafes may pipe in too. And so here we go. So let's start by introducing, I know some of these faces are new, some of them are
old.
Yeah, some of these faces are seasoned and established.
They feel old.
So why don't we just kind of go down the road and y'all can just introduce who you are, and then I thought a fun icebreaker question, since we know what you do today for us, is tell us what your first job was. Let's get to know you guys. Who wants to start, Victor or Scott?
I'll start.
Okay.
My name is Scott Smith. My first job,
Yeah.
I was 12 and I worked at a donut shop from 4 to midnight.
What, at 12?
Yep.
How cool, I love it. Tracy?
So I'm Tracy Nicodemus, and my very first job was at a custom jeweler in Old Town Louisville. I worked co-op. So my freshman year in high school, I went to school a half day, and then I spent the rest of the day at the jewelry shop.
And were you also 14? That's young.
No, I was 15.
Okay, well, that's still
I
young.
was 15.
That's awesome. And Anthony,
Anthony Cole,
do we
and
want to know?
you do, no.
Can we record
Okay,
this? Is it okay?
Anthony will say your first on the table job.
My first on the table job, I lied at the age of 15 so I could work at Taco Bell.
Okay. Our ethics guy.
And then, but when they found, but by the time they found out I was then 16, and then they didn't care.
That's hysterical. Victor?
Victor Burns, my first two jobs, I had 2 paper routes at 13. I literally took my bicycle like 7-8 miles away from my house at 1 o'clock in the morning to do the weekend paper route.
Wow.
Yeah, the things you used to be able to do that you can't do now.
Yeah.
Right.
But you and Scott both did through the night shifts, it sounds like.
That one was on the weekends during 1 to 3 in the morning, and then the other one was afternoons, Wednesdays and Sundays.
So you guys have been hustling since you were children, basically.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. So let's phase this into real estate, and you can go straight down the row if you want, or you can pipe in any order. How did you find your way into real estate? Obviously, there was jobs between your first jobs in real estate. But what was your path to get into real estate? Sure.
So I actually, well, how I got to where I was is a whole nother story. But I was in the car business, and I had a lady come buy a car that lived in South Lake that was a realtor. And she's like, you know, you'd be really good at real estate. Have you ever thought about it? And I said, yes, I actually hate cars and I love houses. True story. I mean, new fancy cars don't do anything for me, but I loved houses at the time. And so over 6 months, she recruited me, and I went to work for her as a buyer's agent at Remax Lone Star in South Lake, and been with Remax ever since.
So ever since, what does that mean? How long? 25
years.
25 years. Okay, so 25 years ago, you got approached at the car dealership. I love it. Who else?
Well, I guess, you know, I was a manager for Tom Thumb, and we worked 60 to 70 hours a week. My wife at the time, ex-wife now, was got a job selling homes for a U.S. Home, and her first year made more than I did.
Oh,
And I thought, well, I'll just get into real estate.
That's
And
perfect.
that's been 24 years ago.
24 years. Very cool. I love that. That's a great story. And you kept the career and ditched the wife.
Yeah.
We take
I was-
one takeaway. We got one takeaway from the marriage.
That's right. And it was good. That's the one thing that, well, I shouldn't say
Well,
that.
no, I was gonna say, and you got a slew of wonderful children.
Yes, I do.
but-
For sure, for sure.
That's awesome.
So when I was 17 years old, Steve Alcorn listed my parents' house. He's a Remax agent, for those of you who don't know who he is. He listed my parents' house, and we ended up having a lot of conversations when he would come to the house. And he was brand new. He actually came over driving Revis's car. She had a Mercedes, and so he was driving Revis's Mercedes. I don't remember what
Wow.
his other vehicle was, but it wasn't a Mercedes. And he said, you should get into real estate. You have a great personality. You obviously aren't afraid to talk to people. So as soon as I finished high school, I went to North Lake Community College, where they offered semester-long real estate classes. That was back in 1988. Long time ago. I had no idea what it cost to get into real estate at that time. So by the time I finished my education and realized the cost, I was like, oh, maybe this is too soon.
Well, what do you mean by semester long? I want to stop on that. Like the whole thing is in one semester?
No, back then, principles was one course,
Okay.
and it was a book this big, and it was a semester-long credited college course. You took Texas law instead of the contracts, promulgated forms. They were college classes, and we did it in 5 days, the entire semester in 5 days. So you would go on Monday and everybody's all put together. Tuesday, nobody has makeup. Wednesday, it's ponytails. Thursday, it's barely clothes, like it's pretty much your pajamas in the ponytail. And by Friday, you were testing over an entire semester. And so everyone was a hot mess on Friday. But so it took a little longer because you had to wait. It wasn't like now where they offered the classes in 2 days and it's plentiful. So it took me a year and a half to be able to catch the cycle of all the classes, but
Then you were in.
I was in, and I didn't license at that time. I actually was an assistant manager for a mobile home park in Louisville. And then I worked for Lincoln Properties as a leasing agent. And then I married a builder. So I was around all of that, house building, realtor events, since I was 17. So, and I'm 39 now. So I haven't been in it as long as they have. Yeah, that's right. So I haven't been in it as long as they have.
Anthony, what transitioned you into real
You
estate?
were like, I started off at 1 year old.
I came out of the womb licensed.
That's right. That's right.
So in my previous life, I was in the service and I saved all my money. I saved and I wanted to buy
Thank you for your
properties.
service.
And I grew up really poor, and a lot of people that I knew that had money, that they were in real estate. And I was like, hey, I want to do that. And so I started off flipping houses. I bought my first house when I was 27, I think. And for $60,000. And I think it sold last year for $390. But I bought that house for 60, and I think I made like $8,000. And I thought, I was like, oh my God, I'm a genius. There's something to this. And so just kind of snowballed from there. And now we own 20 something properties and life is good.
That's awesome. Great story.
You own 20, but your property managed somewhere near 300.
We manage, I'm knock on wood, I'm the largest independent property manager in Fort Worth. So we manage like 300 and something. I'm gonna start drinking.
I've lost you. I've lost you.
Extra mimosa.
Oh, that's fantastic. And so I do want to know how long you waited after you guys got into real estate to get your actual broker's license. What was that time period and why did you do it? Anybody?
Well, I can just tell you that, back then you just had to have the 2 years. You didn't have the point system.
Mhm.
So I had been in management before, and I never knew what would come of the real estate career. So right at the day, 2 years, I went and took the test and passed. So I did it right away.
Wow, that's awesome.
I did not. So Scott and I had been partners, I don't know, 8 years, I think, somewhere around there when I was like, I probably ought to have my broker's license, talking succession plans, things like that. I really honestly didn't ever have a desire to have my broker's license because I was like, oh, if I get in trouble, he's got to go with me. So I'll but being a responsible owner, and the truth is the function was the same. The consequences were the same. We were in it together. So I actually got my broker's license. It'll be 2 years ago in September. I've had my license for 16 years, but yeah, it just, I think that when you own a company, you probably need to have a broker's license. So I wasn't in a hurry, but got it done.
I love it.
So my initial reason for becoming a broker was all psychological warfare, because I read a stat from the NAR saying that the majority of the public recognizes agents and brokers, and they recognize brokers as being higher than agents. That was initially my only reason for becoming a broker, because I realized that if I have all these accreditations and classes after my name, the general public doesn't know what they are. But I do know they know the difference between an agent and a broker. So that's why I did that initially. But I'm glad I did.
Mine was, we were going to purchase the Remax from my first Remax or second Remax broker. And so I had to get my broker's license. So I got it in 2005, so 8 years after.
That's so interesting because Anthony and Scott had a similar path where they went ahead and just got it. And then you two kind of waited. And then when you decided to take on the ownership and all that, you decided that was the next step.
Well, and broker license used to be like $500 something a year. So believe it or not, that was, why we're going to pay for 500 when it didn't, to me, I didn't have any value in it. So I was like, I'll save the money.
Yeah.
Well, and I will tell you, being young and dumb, when I went to North Lake, you had two choices. You could have credited or non-credited.
Okay.
And I was young, so it was more money if you got it credited. So I didn't. And so I didn't have the college credits. I wish now that I would have, but so I took 900 whopping hours of real estate. And so I was in no hurry to do that. But what I can tell you is when I decided to do it, I did 437 hours in 1 year.
Wow.
And I still taught at our brokerage and still led in my church. And, so I wasn't in a big hurry for that reason. Yes, the $500, but there were still, I had accumulated over 500 hours just in renewals and continued education, but there was still a significant amount of hours required. So.
Okay, let's do something fun here. Raise your hand if you would recommend getting your broker's license. So just so you guys know, we have 20-something brokers here at Remax. So
I'm thinking about it still.
Well, you know what I think?
I would say yes.
I would too.
I would too.
Well, I would say depending on what your goals are,
okay.
right? If you plan to use it for, marketing, or you want to use it to maybe be a broker with an office or something, then I would say yes. Otherwise, I don't know that there's a need.
Okay.
I'm an education hound, so I love anything that enriches your experience as a professional. And what I can say that, like broker responsibility class, you guys don't have to take it. We do. I think that's an excellent class. And I think whether you're a broker or not, you should take it, because there's information that we're responsible for that truly you're responsible for it too. They just don't give it to you. I guess broker, not broker, maybe isn't as significant or as important, but I think the education is vital because it makes you a better professional.
I'll piggyback on that. And I think anyone can take that broker responsibility class. So next time you need some CE credit, you may want to look at it and just take it just to see.
It's actually
you're
the
interested.
best class that we take.
I agree.
Any class that I take.
I've taken it.
I agree.
I would also add that if you're going to get your broker license, not that you're all not very competent, but you are held to a higher standard in a truck complaint because you are now the broker. They're looking at what you did to know the situation, not what your brokerage and you did together to know the situation. So just make sure that you're real comfortable with your knowledge. Some of you might still be young and not there yet. So you know, again, going back to the reason for why you did it.
And for liability, I wish everybody was a broker.
Yes. Yes.
Yes,
Whenever we get a truck complaint, it comes right to
yes.
me or Anthony or whoever. So,
Well,
Yeah.
so, and we know why Victor and Tracy were already in leadership role when they took the broker courses. For you two, since you already had your broker's license, at what point did you decide to take a leadership role with that? Because I feel like that's a good transition for this topic.
Well, it was interesting. I was, an agent for 7, 8 years. And I actually got cancer and I needed to go somewhere and get insurance. So I went and I managed an office for a big Remax company. And about 1.5 years into it, I realized that they ran it like a corporation and everybody was just a number. There was no discussion of what's going on with this person, what's going on with this agent. It was just a number. We lost 3, we picked up 2. And at that point, that was something I was not interested in. And the original Remax I started at, he was a World War II veteran and getting older. So we became partners. And, over the years, I got a bigger percentage because it was a 10-year plan for him to retire.
I see.
So that's,
I enjoy leadership because I think it makes me a better agent / person because my first stop it. My first brokerage I worked at was not a Remax brokerage, and I really wanted to get involved on the local level, but they were very adamant against it, and I couldn't figure out why. They were like, the people at the lower level, at the local level, they're the devils, and so when I met them, I was like, these people are nice, and so I started going that route, and I became involved with the board of directors, thanks to Jackie, and then I worked my way up and started doing stuff for Texas Association of Realtors, and I just really enjoyed that. And
So
I
I
think
don't
it's
know
fun.
if everybody in the room knows what you do with them and what you just got finished doing with them as well. Will you talk on that for a second?
what did I do?
Your mediation and your arbitration.
Yes. So I'm sorry. So sounds like.
Still starting the party.
So I do mediation for the state of Texas, and that's always fun. And I do various professional standards cases, arbitration. And I just enjoy that because I think from seeing, sometimes I get the case, I'm like, oh, I've done that. I better not do that anymore. But again, I think it helps, it helps educate. And I use it in classes as examples of what to do and what not to do, if you will.
I don't know how many of y'all knew that he still does that actively. So
Yeah.
nice to see
I think it's fun.
all the different stuff that goes up through the state from all the different brokerages.
Yes.
And I don't know if you know this either, but Tracy, you've got a lot of tenure in service as well. Do you want to talk about that for a second? Your role
Sure.
with the boards?
Sure. So I started serving on committees probably a decade ago. Served on the board of directors at the Greater Louisville Association for 3 years, and then started my way through executive committee. I was the president in 2019, and then the GLAR appointed director for Texas Realtors 2022. I actually met Anthony in 2015 at the Texas Realtor Leadership Program, and Lori, she was in the class with us. And I love board service. I like advocacy of any kind. I don't think you can be in this industry and not have a heart for advocacy. I love the exposure that you get, not only what's going on with the realtors, but what's happening at TREC. I think it's a wonderful bridge, or at least if you're with a healthy board, it can be a very healthy bridge. We have a wonderful community, I think, as realtors. Outside of the brand, created a lot of really great relationships that I still love and celebrate today. I just think I think similarly so. You get exposed to things that if you never get outside of your box, you don't realize that exists. So I also think it broadens your perspective. I enjoy that. I like to be challenged. I like to have my my beliefs challenged. I like to be challenged professionally. And I think when you get in an environment like that, iron sharpens iron. And so when you get around people with that advocate heart and a heart for service, you just thrive in it if that's who you are.
I totally agree with that. I did a super short stint on the MLS board and I totally agree. And you as well?
Well, I was just saying, she was president of the board, so additional.
But I think, did you do some as well? And you,
Yeah, I was
you are
president.
heavy in tree pack as well. You want to
Yes.
talk about that for a second?
Well, it's it's important that, we keep tree pack a successful organization because they really do advocate for us.
I will piggyback on tree pack. I'm really big on tree pack and I'm a major investor and I think we should all step it up above the standard just because they do so much for us. They do so much for your commissions, for private property ownership. I mean, it's just.
During the pandemic, they
Yes.
made it to where we got to continue working.
That's right.
Yes.
That was important.
Yes, very much so.
We were considered essential because of trees.
Yes. My wife will say I'm not essential.
Well, you're essential here.
Yes,
Yeah.
okay.
Every 2 years, when they're in session, they look at ways to tax real
Yes.
estate transaction realtors, and TRIPAC fights that, so they're important for us.
I'll do a plug for the Capitol. If you've never been, they go every 2 years and it's a wonderful experience. You go by bus with your board. And so if anybody ever wants to go, let me know. I like to go. So.
And you get to go into the offices of the different reps, and we have questions for them. So, I mean, we get personal interaction with things directly related to our industry, things that profoundly affect homeownership rights. So if you haven't experienced that, definitely do it.
And it's fun, the bus, you get to meet other agents from other places. And when I went, I saw Malin, our agent Malin Powers, and our agent Graham Stiles talking to the senators as representing the whole Metroplex. So that was really cool to see for me too, so. All right, so we talked a little bit about why you're doing what you're doing, but why are you doing what you're doing? What is your why? What makes you get out of bed in the morning? Why do you still show up and take care of all of us?
Well, I'll start with, after selling and helping, our customers find homes for years, I really thought that, I'd rather, instead of doing that for strangers, which, again, real estate's the best industry out there, I'd rather do that for agents and brokers at the office. So instead of spending my time helping somebody buy a home, I'd rather spend my time helping you guys be successful. And so for me, that's the driving part of it.
I don't know if everybody in this room knows this, but this man has a load of kids that he has supported. You want to talk about that?
Well, sure.
Erica, I'm really very offended by that. We're the only other people in the room that can compete with Scott on number of kids. So go ahead, Scott.
When I did get divorced, I ended up with the kids. And which, 10, 12 years ago, that's pretty unusual.
And there's 5 of them.
I have 4 kids.
Okay, so there's 5 of you together.
Yes.
Okay.
My oldest son is in the Navy. He works on the nuclear reactors on subs and aircraft carriers. My second son is a lieutenant in the Air Force. Just graduated from A&M. And then my youngest son is an airborne combat medic at Fort Benning in a Ranger battalion.
What a service-based family. That is so cool.
And then my daughter, she's just finished high school, hopefully tomorrow. But she's a black belt in Taekwondo.
Wow.
And she's in junior ROTC.
Underachievers.
I love it.
So they've all done incredibly well.
I love that.
And I want to say something about that. So having been Scott's partner all these years, and I get weepy, but he is an incredible dad, like a really incredible dad. Like, it's not just how great the kids turned out. Like, Scott would take each one of his kids on a special vacation each year that they got quality time with their dad. If there was always one of them, at the office with their dad, quality time. I mean, I know it's tough when families break up, but our office was like one big family for the kids. Like their success is all of our success. You know, we loved on these kids. We watched him be an incredible single dad, and it wasn't easy. This wasn't a deal where, well, she was absent, like completely absent and incapable. And Scott was mom and he was dad. And he is an incredible human being. It is one thing to come with all the kids' accolades, but it's that day-to-day stuff. It's that relationship. It's that investment in quality time. Those are the things that you don't get to see. And so I have deep admiration for the man that he is, because that's not an easy job for anyone. And he did it with love and excellence and commitment, and not just to his kids, but also to our organization. So anyway, so I feel like.
Then he was willing to adopt 200 more.
Absolutely. So anyway.
They can't join the military, no.
Yeah. Maybe reserves,
That's-
maybe reserves.
Maybe reserve. So who wants to follow that? Anybody?
Every one of them except for John worked at the office on Saturdays. Rachel still does, so she's there 9 to 3 every day. So
Y'all will
they
love
work
her.
hard.
Yes, y'all will love her.
Yeah, Rachel's amazing.
So she'll be here today later on if anybody's.
Different Rachel.
Different Rachel, just kidding. You don't want the other Rachel.
Yes, we have a Rachel Smith and a Rachel Powell. Yeah.
That's right.
That
Yeah.
makes more sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, when Rachel Powell does something good, I say, Rachel did this. So,
I love it. I love it
Credit.
so much. Okay, so who else wants to tell why you get out of bed in the morning and actually continue to do this?
Because we make Victor.
I was gonna say Mary makes me get up in the morning. I have to pay for private school. No, I'm playing. I enjoy helping. I enjoy interacting with most of the, no, I'm playing. I'm joking. Come on. I do enjoy helping the agents. I like watching the agents build their business. I love it when a new agent comes in and they're a go-getter and then they take off. I see one right now, I'm not going to mention any names, but that has taken off amazing. And it just feels good knowing that you've helped them achieve their goals and get to where they're wanting to be.
Every Monday,
Like-
every Tuesday, every
Every day.
We're kidding, guys.
Every Sunday.
We gotta have some jokes here, kids. We gotta,
Yes.
come on,
We have to be
Peanut.
entertaining.
Come on, Peanut Gallery. We gotta have some jokes here. But I do enjoy watching others grow. I feel very lucky that my business is where it is. And like I said, life is really good and I enjoy it. And I enjoy watching others build their business, their lives, and become self-sufficient and just better themselves. My family tree was going like this. It was going nowhere. And then now for generations, unless my kid screws it up, they should have houses and their kids should have houses and their kids should have an income from those houses. And so I'm trying to build that for my family, and I want to see everyone do that for their families.
Tracy
nice.
Fixer?
Okay, so I get to love people for a living. And that is extremely rewarding to me. I have had real estate in my blood like my whole life. You know, everything from leasing to my husband and I building custom homes for a decade. Like I just eat, live and breathe real estate. It just comes out of me. I don't know how to make it not. But the reason why I get out of bed is because I just feel like my life isn't my own, you know, that my agendas aren't important, that I like the fact that I get to come into a place where I'm surrounded by other people who are driven to excellence, whether that excellence is service or that excellence is how they treat people or the professional that they are. I mean, how honored are we that we get out of bed every day and love people for a living? We get paid to help people accomplish their goals.
Well, you don't say we get paid to love people because that could be misconstrued as.
Well, Okay,
Throw that out there.
but for me, but that's what I have always said. Yeah. You're so funny. But that's really the deal. I get paid to love people for a living. And what a great job, you know, whether it's loving them through helping them through a contract, loving them through helping them recognize their strengths so that they can leverage those to increase their business. And at the end of the day, my family gets to be a part of that. Like some jobs, your family doesn't get to be a part of it. You don't have the flexibility to be there when people graduate. You don't get to be there when a kiddo's sick. I mean, we have the most incredible job in the world. And so I get up every day because I love people and I love what I do and I love the people I do it with. And as a result, if I just keep my eyes focused on that, then the inheritance for my children's children will just happen.
Hopefully.
No, it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen.
I'm praying that one kid doesn't screw it up.
Yeah.
There's always that one.
Well, I know that Tracy has a super loving heart as well, and she's not gonna brag on herself, but I will also tell you, in case you did not know this, she's also ordained. So she is a hefty role in her church. They all go to her for advice, so it spreads past her work life. Your spouse, you've been with since y'all were kids.
Since I was 17.
Since you were
Aw.
17, they have one of those sweet loves and marriages. And we're driving in the car the other day as she's taking us from office to office, and her mother-in-law.
My mother-in-law,
Who called about the meatballs.
yes.
Somebody called about the meatballs, and I heard that whole conversation, and she's just the
Great.
sweetest, loving, most family person. So I can second that for sure.
Yeah, well, she's been like a mom to me since I was 17. So, you know, we kind of have.
She's your mom.
She's
Yeah.
seriously.
She is, yeah.
Yeah, she watched me grow up and make great choices and grow up and not make great choices, you know, and love me anyway. That's what moms do,
Yeah.
right?
And getting ordained, how and why did you do that?
Well, okay, so I'll tell on myself. When I turned 45, the Lord told me that there were, yesterday, that there were 3 things that he wanted me to accomplish. I was 39, yeah. And one of them was become a broker, and the second one was ordination. And so I didn't become ordained until I was 48, because that wasn't something, you know, I didn't just go online and become ordained. I had actually served in my church for nearly 10 years as the leader of the Business Women's House of Zion. And so I went.
Again, leadership role. You just always.
It always happens wherever I go. That's just, it's the way it works. But it's been a call on my life for a long time. I have ministered and counseled people for 20 years, probably, long time, families, individuals, and especially women. I mean, I've counseled men too, but
I can attest to that.
yes, you will always find.
a bill.
Yeah, right. You will always find Kleenex in my office because people come in my office. We pray, we cry, we get built up, and we go out. But so I was ordained through Glory of Zion. That's the church that I'm connected to in Corinth. And so I continued leadership in ministry. I do baptisms, weddings, funerals. That is my least favorite thing to do. You know, counsel families through
Still an
illness.
honor for someone to trust you with that spot.
That, you know what, and to be honest with you,
It
that's
really
one of
is.
the reasons why that I don't like it, because what an incredible responsibility to honor someone's
Mhm.
life and to honor a family. So there's a lot of responsibility in it. So yes, so that's my least favorite thing to do, but that has been super rewarding for me. When you're called, and you can't shake it until you answer. And so I was grateful that I got to answer that call 3 years ago. So now you know how old I am. I'm not 39. So
We were trying to cover for you.
I appreciate it.
Shuffling the numbers.
Yeah, total disclosure, right? We got to disclose, but
And since we did this with Scott, you want to talk about, you have children, and Anthony, can we come back to you have children and just talk about them real quick? And then Victor, we want to hit you up too.
sure. So I have 2 sons, Eddie and I together, 29 and 25. They are a handful, have been their entire life. I have preacher's kids. That'll tell the whole story. But they are very, very loving, very hardworking. My oldest son is in Groesbeck and my youngest son lives in Denton. So we're very close though.
Groesbeck?
I was gonna say, what was
I know, I
it?
didn't
What was it
Groesbeck.
called?
It's about 2 hours from here.
Oh, okay.
Little podunk town. But we're very close. They're mama's boys and I talk to my kids every single day. They always come for advice with women and then don't take it. So, but we're empty nesters now, and that's where Louis came into the picture. We didn't know quite what to do without any chaos, so we got a dog.
You're about to get a second.
And we are on Sunday at noon, Louis is getting a sister. So, yes, we're very excited. Yes.
I like it when the kids take the advice and they go, thank you.
Pretty much, yeah, yes.
Thank you for that knowledge.
And I saw your cute pictures at your kids' school the other day. You want to
Yes.
talk about them?
Sure. I have, so I have a son he'll be 25 in a few days. And he is that far away from finishing college if he would just do it.
Is this the one you're afraid is gonna mess up?
Aaron, yes.
I'm feeling the vibe.
He is insanely smart. He is insanely smart, common sense. And not so much. And I have Allie. Allie is, I felt like I was starting over there. Allie is 11. Allie is 11. So I felt like I was too old to do that again. And it just happened. And Allie is great. She's finishing 5th grade. So she'll be going in 6th grade. And then we have our 2 canine babies, Tipper and Finn. And there'll be 4 tomorrow. And Mary's having a birthday
I was
party
just
for
gonna
them.
say.
Getting a little puppy ice cream
I don't
and.
know.
When he's not. on
Chicken
the
nuggets,
bar,
chicken
he's-
nuggets,
He's
probably.
managing birthday parties for dogs.
Yeah.
Victor, tell us why you do what you do. Why do you get out of bed and throw in your kids since we're doing this trail right
Damn.
now?
I'm not getting out of bed anymore. Things have changed.
He's like, I
You
did
know,
that.
So I've always had a natural just wanting to help people. So I'm a helper, I'm a caretaker, and I have the patience. I'm gifted with patience, and I love challenges. So you put all those together, real estate's the perfect industry for that. And agents. I mean, you guys you're just another form of agents are like clients. It's just you're the agents who help the clients. Back to what Scott was saying. And I just love helping people, and problem solving.
You have kids that you're now living closer to.
So I have a stepdaughter, 37, married with 3 grandchildren, 9, 7, and 4. All had 3 birthdays in the last 30 days. Actually, one more's coming up here.
Oh my goodness.
Huh?
She's not 37,
Oh, how old is she?
34.
34.
Oh.
I'm losing track. Hey, I had
It
to
takes
look
a
up-
village.
I had to look up today how many years I've been in real estate. I've
Because
been
where
talking-
am I?
I've been talking about 27 years. But Mary, I really appreciate you calling me out on that. Maybe it's not so great. but I remember that.
Okay, so.
And we have a special needs Chihuahua. That was how the rescue ad was written. And she is very special needs.
No, no.
But if I understand correctly, Sherry wanted the dog, but the dog wants you.
Yeah, Sherry wanted the
Yeah.
dog because of her situation. She wanted to take care of something. We got the dog for her, and the dog will have 0 things to do with it.
That's funny.
So Chihuahuas identify with somebody. We think she came from a family that she identified with an older gentleman. So,
Mhm.
Makes sense.
Interesting.
I feel like we missed you on pets. Do you have a pet? What's happening? I feel like we missed Scott on pets, so I want to know if he has one now.
I'm allergic to cats and mostly dogs, but my daughter came up and said, I really want a dog. So of course we have a dog.
And let me tell you, back to my point about Scott as a dad. So he started going and getting all of these shots because Rachel wanted a dog. Like, so he was all ready when,
Oh, like
when the dog.
anti-dog.
Yes.
Okay. I was
Yes.
just gonna say, you chose the seat by the dog. so-
Yeah.
Well, he's hypoallergenic and I bathe him frequently so that his dander doesn't bother Scott.
Okay,
Yeah.
and if we didn't say it, this is Louis, so.
Yes, and this is Louis.
He was
Yeah.
introduced before the Brokers.
Yeah, I guess he
Yes.
was. I'm
He was a
sorry.
special-
I'm a
special
dog
guest.
person, what can I say? Okay, so, well, let's go into a couple quick things of advice and then let's open it up for questions. do you guys have advice for someone that may want to get a broker's license specifically?
Drink heavily. No,
Drink heavily.
We do that already.
You said know your stuff earlier.
Well, and I think to Scott's point that you really need to take an assessment of your why,
yes,
what your motivation is and see and weigh that out. Whatever is motivating you to get it, is it worth the risk? Because it's true, you are held at a higher level of accountability. There's no excuse, in Trek's eyes. If you're a broker, then you know better.
yes,
Not saying that we get away with ignorance as agents, but at least you're not standing alone. The buck stops with the broker. And so I think Scott gave excellent advice in that area. But if you are going to do it, I would say embrace the content that you enjoy. I don't know how many hours that you need, but I'm here to tell you, it becomes very redundant and it can be very challenging if you need a ton of hours, but I think it's worth it. For me, it was worth it. When I originally got my broker's license, I was thinking more succession type things. And now here we are today. So, there's definitely purpose in it, but you need to know what your purpose is and, get the education, whether you choose to become a broker or not. You can always pull that trigger. But the education, I strongly advise, broker or not broker, take the broker responsibility because it really is the best class we take.
I would just add to that she keeps talking about succession, so I need to, I guess, improve my health. I don't know.
I kind of call into that too.
I'm not, I think I'm the oldest and the most seasoned in the group.
The most seasoned. Yeah.
But I will say that, there's not a yes or no answer. It's, if you want to think about it, come talk to one of us and then we'll talk through it. But I would say to some people, yes, and other people, that might not be the best thing.
absolutely. I will say, as someone who looks over the complaints, that you are definitely held to a higher standard. And I've seen several cases where it's a broker and an agent, and the agent will get
Grace.
So definitely think about that. And I think it is on a case by case basis, who should.
And if your reason for getting it is to open up your own brokerage, we highly discourage it.
Absolutely.
Elephant in the room, I'm just saying.
That's right.
That's funny.
Yes, it should have come from me, but yeah, you're right.
That's funny.
Okay, and then switching now to the broker thing, let's have a golden nugget. So an advice that somebody has given you that has helped you with your real estate career, or an advice that you think would be most applicable to a room of agents, your one golden nugget.
The golden nugget I'd say is be where you're supposed to be at the time you're supposed to be there. And that's a lot of it. We have a 10 o'clock meeting and we run in at 10:05. We have a listing appointment at 5 and then at 4 we say, oh, I need to start working on this. So, if you have something to do, get it done.
Talking to me right
How many
now.
of you could raise your hands if you think either one of those categories apply to you right now?
I love it how Johnny reminds me, you're supposed to be at. Right? Yes, I do.
Where she called me early. She did that today.
She's your Google reminder.
Yes.
That's hilarious.
Who else?
I think one of the most valuable pieces of advice that I got, and I actually got it in the early 90s. And one of the jobs I had, I was the executive assistant to the vice president of a very large international communications company. And he said, business is like a game of tennis. Your job is to return the ball as quickly and as accurately as possible. Don't drop the ball.
Oof.
Wow.
And so I have applied that to every area of my life. So that the ball's on the other side.
That's actually, I like that. Guys?
I get to follow Confucius here.
Anthony's advice is don't follow confusion.
Don't.
Call the broker hotline. That's his advice. Yes,
do-
helpline.
I'll go back to the don't procrastinate, eat that frog. Just do what you need to do and don't put it off. It doesn't get any better by putting it off.
That's right.
And
Stress.
yep, and then I would tell you to get involved. If this is your profession, get involved. Be on committees, be at the office, I've seen agents that are struggling that just come to the office on a regular basis. They're getting business just being at the office. I hate seeing new agents that you never see them, you never hear from them. And then they call you and I'm just not making it in this business. I wonder why. So I would just tell you, be involved as much as you can. If this is your life, make it your life, and
Make it your priority, not your hobby,
thank you.
as we were talking yesterday.
It's a very expensive hobby, very expensive hobby.
And invest in yourself.
Invest.
Invest in yourself, invest in your business.
I would say, especially for the agents who went through the recession, you need to find the balance of life early on in your career, because we all experienced during the recession, we're like, wow, were we really doing that to our families, to our life? We were working so much into the recession. We all had kind of a burnout that happened during that time. And if you don't work on all the different parts of your life at the same time, when you're in this business, the other ones suffer.
That's right.
And so find it early. I mean, because you'll get caught up in this business. It's fast money, it's fun, it's challenging. And you'll wake up 5 years from now and you'll realize that you might have neglected some of those parts of your life that you should have been working on during those 5 years.
Can I give Jackie a kudos?
Yeah.
Jackie, I'm involved with, I'm a Mason. I belong to the local Masonic Lodge. I do all these various things for various organizations. The Kill 21, veterans, suicide rate, stuff like that. And I've never really thought about it. And Jackie set me down. One time when we were talking, and she said, "You have a servant's heart." And I was like, "I hate people. I'm not sure why you say I have a servant's heart." And then she pointed all these things out, and it made me really focus on, what, I do want to do these things more. And so I don't hate people. Most people, some people.
Everybody else is us.
Everybody, but
Nobody in this room.
Nobody in this room. But it made me think,
Or on
and it made me want to hone the craft. And I just wanted to say, Tracy knew Jackie, and we were, we all knew each other from leadership roles. And I do have to say that I was very happy to see who got the office. So I do want to thank y'all on that. I was very happy to see that the transition, the way it went.
Thank you.
So,
Us too.
I love that.
Yeah.
Well, and I was gonna say something similar as we transition Victor off. I mean, what comfort to know that we have this level of leadership. I was putting, no, I would never. Victor knows I'm gonna go down there and ask him questions all the time.
So am I.
Yes. Well, and yeah, absolutely.
That's gonna be hard for them to get out of bed anymore.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, he answers.
Well, he lives down the street from me. We'll get him out of bed.
ding dong, ding dong.
This is us in your window, moving forward. You're gonna see 50 faces going, "Hi, what are you doing?" But we are comforted to know that we have this type of leadership. I will tell you guys, as I was updating my recruiting materials, this panel right here, the leadership that we have has experience in not just residential real estate or being a broker and being a leader. As I'm putting together my materials, I'm realizing between everybody here, they have residential, commercial, builder experience, title experience, mortgage experience. We didn't even touch on the fact, if you guys don't know, Tracy also has a mortgage license.
Oh, that's Scott.
That's me.
I thought you went to your mortgage convention.
Oh, I was just an honored guest.
Okay, so she went as a guest and he has his license. They're both experts in that industry
She
too.
went
Their
for that
history
one.
goes deep.
But don't call me, I don't write loans. I got the education.
But it's more for the education, but it's more just about
Smart,
knowing it. And so then you went to the convention.
So I went to UWM Live.
That's why I thought that.
They are number 2 to Rocket Mortgage. They're gigantic. They're
Okay.
huge. And the reason that I went was it was a thank you. I've done training platforms for them. They have 900 loan officers across the US. So I've done their training platforms, talking realtor relationship type, how to work with a realtor. And then I just did their Real Trends podcast that actually I think goes live this week. So just as a thank you, they invited me to be a guest at their big event. It was ridiculous. I
So we can
mean,
listen to the podcast?
you can listen to.
Oh,
Yes.
fancy news sneaking in there at the end.
Well, I was just gonna say that talks about our personality. I'm the mortgage licensee and they invited her to the convention. So
But it was really, really good. And this, so like invest in yourself, we're talking about expanding perspective. It was nice because their panelists, of course, are their top producing people around the country. And it's nice to hear what they think of us and to see them so eager to maneuver their style to complement our needs. And to have a voice in that was really an honor. Of course, Tony Robbins was there, and I don't care anything about sports really, but Wayne Brady was there. And I mean, it was really a quality event. There was a rumor that this event cost $9 million to put on. They have their campus is ridiculous. They have an entire sports complex that they let the community use. This thing was gigantic, but it was so well put on. And what I thought was really amazing is, so we've been doing panels, and I get there and they did panels. So it really,
So we're on trend.
we're trending with some of the top organizations and their delivery method of diversified information. And so it was a great event. I really enjoyed it. I have no desire to be an LO. I'll just keep being a guest speaker.
I love it. And
We'll let Scott do that.
I want to
Yeah,
thank
part.
you guys all for participating in this. It's not easy to get 4 people in your roles in the same spot at the same time. So we are humbled by your presence and we greatly appreciate you. And then I definitely want to open it up for questions if anybody has any. We have a couple minutes left in the hour. We also have people on Zoom. Jeannie?
I don't have a question, but I feel moved to. Thank you, Anthony. You kept me in this business.
Oh, you're sweet.
And what I mean by that is early on, I thought I was so smart and I converted a FISBO. And we ended up with the buyer from hell. And I got sued.
Oh, yeah.
The livid sue scare attack. And I was just saying, I'm quitting. I'm getting out of real estate. I can't stand this. I can't stand it. And he said, send me your file. So I'm putting everything together. I sent it over to him.
Yeah, I've seen them.
Yeah.
I've seen them organized.
And he called me back and he said, how you doing? And I said, I'm quitting. I can't stand this. I'm scared to death. And he said, you're cool. You got everything together. You don't have a thing to worry about. And I went, wow. So then I didn't hear from him for a few weeks. And the panic set in and I was just like, I'm going to jail.
We'll bail you out.
I called him again and he called me and he said, how are you doing? I said, I think we're gonna die.
I should have called attorney's offices and requested information to be sent to your house. I'm just playing. No one called that, no one called that.
But he did, he held my hand, he held me up, he walked me through it and was proactive in making sure that I knew that I was okay. And now I can take anybody on. So thank you.
You're
so
sweet. Thank you so much.
Aw.
You were really, really there
You're
when I
sweet.
needed it.
For claps.
Anybody else have any questions or comments that they would like to make? Kathy?
What do you think about somebody getting their appraisal license, since appraisals are such a difficult thing right now?
And if you're on
To
Zoom,
even
Kathy-
get.
if you're on Zoom right now at one of the other offices, Kathy is asking about getting an appraiser license and opinions on that.
So what I would say, there are a lot of appraisers that are phasing out of the business. And in talking to people in relationship with the AMCs, they're really struggling to have enough appraisers. Some brokers, mortgage brokers, they can pick their 5 that they want on their loans. And they're having a hard time compiling 5 people. There's a lot of people that have been in it for a very long time and they're retiring. So I do know that is one particular industry that they are trying to raise up a fresh crop of, but it's quite the process. It's not like in real estate license where we can go to school for 6 weeks and test and hit the road. There's apprenticeships that have to be done that are pretty lengthy. So it's a journey. So if you're considering it, I want to say it's like a 2-year path. I mean, it's just not a short, easy process at all. Well, Donna would know. She knows all about that, but.
Well, not the current stuff.
And I would
It was a
add,
2-year.
talk to the appraisers phasing out, because there's a reason, it's not that they're aging out, it's gotten so
Oh,
difficult.
there's that too.
There's a lot of them that are just getting out of business because of the accountability and
Yeah.
what the rules have changed since the recession.
The term is it's no longer any fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I've got a couple of friends that are appraisers and they both retired. They're like, we're out, we're done.
Yeah.
I'm all done.
Well, and it is still, it's still in the industry, but it's definitely very different. This side of the industry, you can make it exactly what you want.
Mhm.
In that part of the industry, it's very regulated
Still
and very,
working for somebody.
you're working for
Yeah.
somebody that's giving you the
Probably
house.
twice as hard as we are.
Yes, you're
Yes.
expected to
But
follow a
I'm
certain.
just thinking about younger people, like I think they need like younger.
We need the.
Well, just.
Less seasoned, yeah.
Hey Kathy, I have an appraiser friend who got his license about 6 years ago and he's out.
Wow.
Yeah, and he's in his early 40s. He's in his early 40s now and he just said it's not,
Not worth it.
it's no longer fun.
Yeah, and that's
Yeah.
the problem with the millennials is they say they're smarter with the work-life balance, so it's probably, if it is that much more difficult, they're getting it in like 2 years and then.
Yeah.
And appraisers
As the
work
youngest
hard.
person in the
Yes.
industry.
That's hard work.
Podcast, so.
Yes.
Well, what I've noted is it seems like some of the older appraisers are basically sitting in the office, signing off on reports, and then bringing in a whole group of interns that go out and do the field work and do the scout work. And the older guys, all they're doing is sign the reports.
Right.
And that may be a trend that it goes to in the future. It's, almost like brokerage where you have a broker and agents. Well, you have a chief appraiser, you have apprentices that do the work.
Awesome. I love it. Anybody else? Does anybody have any questions on there either? Nope. Okay. Kathy? Just say
Well, I
it.
was gonna ask about truck complaints, like how many you get, Anthony, and what the common ones are as of like.
So some of the some of the helpline questions,
1-800 hotline.
right. Most of those questions will never turn into truck complaints. It's fiduciary duty. They're not looking out for my best interest. Those are the most common ones. They're not looking out for my best interest. It's never the IBS form that you didn't get signed. It's never that. I just want to let you know.
They do look for that.
They do look
That's
for
the
that.
first thing they look
That
for
is
in
the very
file.
first thing they look for in the file. And if it's not there, then the rest of the journey is going to be a difficult one. But mainly, you're not looking out for my best interest.
Like a buyer.
Disclosure.
Complaining about their age.
Tons of disclosure, because you're supposed to know everything about a property you sell. You didn't know that? Or that's how they portray it.
Working outside the scope of your area.
Yes. There was actually a case that I had to do last week, and it was working outside the scope of their knowledge because the agent was here. The property that they sold was here 2.5 hours away. Okay, but this person actually, we voted to let them pass because they just moved there, were formerly from here, had lived there 15 years, had been here for like 1.5 years. But that came up. So just protect yourself, document. You can't have too much documentation. Because
You can read those on track, right? They just,
the complaint, I can send you files and files of cases. I'll just have to blank everything out, but
If you truly are interested, you can sign up for a newsletter where they send you stuff about
Yes.
cases. I know Jason's on it, Jared's on it.
it's really neat. It's really neat.
What is
What is
this
this code? Like that was 2.5 hours away.
So you don't want to practice outside of your scope of knowledge. Like, what do you know? Like if,
Geographic competence.
like I personally wouldn't feel comfortable doing like a farm and ranch because I don't do it all the time. I don't know what a run costs. I don't know what an arena costs. But I will tell you, and I'll be quiet after this, but there was a case not too long ago where an agent lost their license. And I was normally I'm not the hang 'em kind of guy. I'm always like, let's just give them education. I don't want to fine anyone. Let's just give them not like it's my ultimate decision, but I just think people need education. There was one that was bad. There was an agent who let's say he's buying a property from this elderly person. And let's say the property was worth 500,000. He told her it was worth 280. And then got it under contract amazingly with his brother, who was also licensed. Nothing was ever disclosed. So they were going to buy it for 280 and then they get it under contract. Oh, wait, we found all these problems with it. So now we need it for 220.
Sounds like open door.
Right, right. And so luckily, the client started questioning it and started asking other people in the neighborhood, hey, and they're like, no, your house should be for at least this. She put a complaint in. This person ended up both of them losing their license. There's criminal charges also. They never sold the property. So I felt very happy that I was involved in that, because we don't want people like that in our business. They give us, back in the day, back in the 50s, we had the same reputation as a car salesman, and now we have the code of ethics and just do business the way you want to have business done with you or your family.
How long have they been licensed?
2.5 years. And so my question is, who all have they screwed over 2.5 years?
It's a long time.
And I'll add to that a lot of times whenever there's a track complaint, what happens with the penalty or the fine has nothing to do with what the complaint was. It's something's missing in the file. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that happens a lot.
And I'll add that you can store anything you want in Sky Slope.
I love Spice Love.
So I have a question.
Let me just pick back real quick on that. Just if y'all have any kind of situation where your client has called you or you get something from the other agent where there's going to be a potential problem, that is the time to call us. And that is the time that we attack it, because most people just want to be heard. And so if we can get in front of them, let them rant, do their thing, 95% go away after that conversation.
Definitely give us a heads up. That's very appreciative.
So within our now 5 brokerage office, I'm sure that all of us have had teachable moments. And I recently learned of somebody else's teachable moment. I don't know who it was. You need to know, but knowing their teachable moment has helped me so many times in the last 2 months about what I need to do in regards to this crazy inflated market we're living in. So is there a way that we can somehow share the teachable moments that all of us have without throwing anyone under the bus, in order to help the rest of us learn from one person's agony? Like in Jeannie's case, look what she went through, and I hate that you went through it, Jeannie. I'm glad you didn't quit. But, is there a way where we can, I don't know how you would do it, call it a teachable moment, want to do a video on our Facebook page? Just so that.
So,
I like
so for
that.
the people on Zoom, Mary is asking, now that we have 6 offices, how we can better learn from each other's helpline examples and teachable moments.
So Victor had just mentioned, I think this would be really good. So we have tech tips at our office meetings. Maybe we do have a case study / teachable moment scenario that we could share. So yeah. So we can definitely add that to the agenda, Johnny.
If you are the agent, and if you have the agent's permission and you are not the agent, you can also share it into our social group if it's something that you feel needs to be shared immediately.
Can I say something about that for a
Yeah,
minute?
please.
In the Facebook group, if it is a broker question, please don't post it there.
The
Please
questions
call
should go
one
to
of
the
us.
helpline.
The hotline. It's not that there's not great information and great answers, but we often get a series of answers and you need an answer. And so if you don't mind, I don't mind you sharing. I'm not telling you not to share or ask help from your peers, but if it is a question that is a possibility you could get in trouble or you could compromise your representation with your client, please ask us.
I punched my client. Is that bad? Delete.
Real quick before we get to them, I was just gonna say that, I say the last 10 years, I can count on this hand how many lawsuits or truck complaints we've had. So it's not near as prevalent as you think. But if I get questions on a topic by 2 or 3 agents, then we'll put that, we have an agent 101, and that's the subject I cover in that. So.
As a matter of fact, I'm teaching on backup contracts Wednesday the 1st, because I've had 3 phone calls in 5 days on that very topic. So, pardon? I am not.
No, we checked, yeah.
No, I'm not. And I'm even thinking about changing my vacation, but he's trying to talk me out of it. So.
Yes, she's been planning her, how many, and what year?
31 years.
31-year anniversary trip, and she keeps putting it off. It was all
Have you
this
been
coming
planning it
together.
since 30 even?
Well, kind of, yeah. Yeah, kind of.
Anyway,
So, but yeah, no, that'll be Wednesday the 1st. I don't leave till the 5th. So.
Yeah, this is an Anthony question. I don't know if it's just me turned into an old fuddy-duddy,
Yes.
but does it seem like?
Good
Does
answer.
it seem like there's a shift
Yeah, term
away
is
from
the,
realtors understanding and really obliging by fiduciary duty? Is this something that's fallen by the wayside? When I first got in, some of the things some of the blue hairs did just drove me nuts. I'm thinking, and these people, that was also time of sub-agency, not necessarily buyer agency. It got better. It seems to be getting worse that a lot of agents are just out for themselves and not necessarily watching out for the client. Is this what you're finding with the complaints? Does it seem like they're not learning the meaning of fiduciary duty?
So I think there's a shift in, if we look at how our business is, you have your traditional brokerages like we are, and you have so many of these little just hang your hat brokerages where they're getting no training. I've been talked to, you wouldn't believe how I've been talked to by some agents sometimes. And I'm like, you understand we're professionals, right? I've been cussed at by agents. The best thing, I've told the story before, y'all never heard this story, but one time I was doing a I was at home in my underwear and I was working from home. And I don't think I bathed. I don't think I bathed in a few days, but I'm going somewhere with this. Okay, just bear with me. And so I'm.
Do we want to go with you?
No,
though?
I'm working. I'm working from home and I'm doing a transaction with
You
this.
wonder why Mary always talks about it.
And I'm sorry, honey. I just want to, I'm doing a transaction with a gentleman and he calls me up and he just starts reaming me, cussing at me and I'm like, what the heck is this guy? I'm about to go redneck on this guy. And so I get, of course I get in investigative mode and I start looking up his information, seeing how long he's been licensed and everything. And I noticed his office is literally 2 blocks from my house. I get up, I shower and I throw on a suit and I go drive and I put on my Texas Association of Realtors mediator badge and I drive over there and I'm like, hey, I need to speak with so-and-so, so-and-so. And they're like, oh, may I ask who's here? And I'm like, let him know it's the guy who he was just cussing out on the phone. And they were like, oh, security, and he came in the office and I brought the code of ethics with me. And I go, I need about an hour's time. We're gonna go over the code of ethics. And I sat down with him. And that was made me feel better.
Did he do it?
He did. He has, and it was one of those things where I made sure my chair was up here and his chair was like super low, and those psychological warfare things. And I just went over the code of ethics. And after that, I got great apologies and I felt like he learned and we're still friends today. And we're still friends today. It was a teachable moment. But I think it's because, in response to your question, I think it's because you have a lot of these hang your hat brokerages where there's just no accountability. They're just loose cannons doing whatever they want to. If you look at the complaints, and I do, if you look at the complaints at large brokerages versus, I won't use specific names, smaller brokerages or hang your hat brokerages, it's like 15-1. So I mean, you're playing craps with your livelihood, if you will. So that's what I have.
That was the longest hour of my life.
And now they're friends.
Lifelong,
Well,
yeah.
thank you guys all so much. I think Louis is telling us we're at the end of the hour, so if Scott wants to make one quick thing and then.
And we'll hit it. I just, again, Tracy and I are so excited to be part of the family here. I've been going to the owner meetings for years, and Victor and Christina and Sherry, and of course, Jackie and David, I've known them for a long time. And we couldn't be prouder to be associated with y'all. And so I want to thank y'all for the great welcome we've had.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We love it here. Absolutely. Thank you guys for coming.
Also
We
wanted to
appreciate it.
tell you that lunch is on its way from Reliant, so if you have time to hang around, mingle, then lunch is on its way from Destiny. And thanks to Shayna and Taylor.
Yes, thank you. Jump right in there. Oh, Louis. You did do so good.
So I don't do the same thing I did this morning.
No.